having that transfer onto this set too, when everyone's like so much more older than me, it was like nice to be heard. And I think
Tiana, we're really old. She loves to be like, oh, you guys are so old. We're like 30. Can you relax? Like,
it was such a privilege working with this many millennials. For Kamala, it's such a romanticized concept. Like, she sees the Avengers literally, or its mightiest heroes, you know, Captain Marvel, who's this cosmic lady fighting epic battles in space. Like, that's pretty awesome. And she's reading these comics and she's listening to such like grand stories about the heroes, and then she becomes one and she writes her own fan fiction. And so like, yeah, I think for me, it was so much fun to play with that because I was just like living that in real time, like going from Miss Marvel, and then I'm like, oh my God, Brie Larson and Tiana Paris.
I think it's an incredible metaphor with this of learning how to be in a team, and also like the very clear example that like no one person can do it all. Like, the world does not become a better place by one person, certainly not one lady. So it's like with that, you need all kinds of skill sets, all kinds of people with different viewpoints and different backgrounds in order to save the world. And so it just makes so much sense. And I think it's so delightful, I think, to see.
Captain Rambo? What the hell are you doing?
Entering the jump point perimeter. I'm gonna get you some readings, Fury. Hello?
Monica.
Hello?
There was a lot of wire work for Monica, but it started, you start that training on your feet, and I had amazing stunt coordinators, and Andy and Maria, who helped give me the basics that I needed for core and just some of the fight stuff I had to do. They were really, really amazing. So there, you know, and a lot of boxing. I got to do a lot of boxing and footwork, but essentially that was all so that I could go hang on some wires. And that is an entirely different beast than working out in the gym, prepping to even get there, and then the training you do on the mat and in the space with them. They're like, yeah, let's just hang you on the wire just so you can get a feel. And then, you know, but we're going to focus on this other like fighting stuff. And then you get this set and you're hanging on a wire for 14 hours and you're like, I don't have the core and my crotch hurts and I missed it. Oh, it was everything. It was a lot of things. And I'm sure all the BTS pictures is me in the background like this. These two are over there. I was hanging on by a thread or by a wire, literally. Yeah. But I pulled it together with a lot of help from our technical team.
The movements aren't like that difficult, but it's doing it for like 12-hour days repetitively. That's like you're using muscles that you didn't even know existed. Yeah, I think I also took training a lot more seriously, especially because Kamal is more advanced. So it was kind of hard dealing with like her choreography because the show hadn't come out yet when we were filming the movie. So all the stunt coordinators were like, so you tell us what you can do. What is your character like? And I was like, oh my God. So we kind of developed a lot of parkour moves for Kamala, and that was just really fun. And I got to train a lot with my stunt double for that. So yeah, I had a lot of fun.
I just feel like I trained smarter this time because I knew before it was like, training for Captain Marvel, was like just being strong was like such a huge part for me because I was going from not being an active person at all to being active, and then was like just growing in terms of what I could do. Now it's like, when you think about it, like if you could fly or even just hover, would you walk? I don't think I would probably just want to move around that way. So it's a way more wire work, which they're both saying it's just a lot harder on the body. You wouldn't think that because you're like, oh, this thing's holding you up, but you're fighting against gravity and wires, and it is uncomfortable, and it takes a long time to go to the bathroom. That's like a real thing. You're in a plank all day with like this armor on, so you're really top heavy, and you have to keep yourself up, and you're doing dialogue, and you're doing all this stuff. People don't know unless they're doing it that it's really hard, and so you can be in it for a really long time, and it's hard to have to be your own advocate and go like, this is actually like a plank position that I've been in for 4 hours. So we all had to get very good at communicating with each other as well, because just like in the movie, we're all dealing with our own uncomfortable situations that we're trying to organize together. So it requires a lot of different things of like snacks, food, drinks, going to the bathroom. It's really, it's a lot. Being in the harness is hard.
Captain Rambo?
that spacesuit, the one that I switched into with Tiana, like fun in a really bad way. It was like a 20, 30, 40 pound spacesuit I'm wearing, and it was like way too big for me. It was so heavy. And then the scene.
Is that the one I had to wear?
Yeah, but bro, I was like flipped upside down and screaming my dialogue for the entire scene to Sam Jackson. So already like freaking out, and like all the blood's rushing to my head, and then the weight of the suit is like on my neck and my shoulders, and it was just like the most physically straining day that I had. But like, hey, I'm in a spacesuit with Nick Fury.
I had to fly. That's not a spoiler, right? Is that a spoiler?
No, I'm not questioning for the spoiler. I'm just excited for you to tell the story.
Well, I can only go so far, then y'all have to jump in.
Okay.
It's fast, okay? And what you don't realize is the harness keeps your legs wide. Like Bree said, you're trying to not look like you're in a freaking harness. Okay, so that's where I go. They take me up, and we're in action, full on action, trying to keep the light and all this stuff. And I'm the only one on a wire because I gotta go do some important business. Okay, I took off in the frame like this. Ah! Legs did, and they were supposed to
We
be
did not complete the scene.
No,
We
once that
both fell to
happened,
the
the whole
ground.
day was
I
like
fell onto
messed
the
up.
ground. I fell over. I couldn't believe it. It was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in my life.
But I didn't know. I thought I held it together, so I'm up at the top, swinging in the sky, like to myself, like that wasn't a good one, but no one noticed. I look down, Bree's on the floor in tears. Iman's holding her face. I was like, oh, damn, okay. I guess everybody did see that.
We just had that on loop.
Bring it
Anytime
through.
we needed a good laugh, we could just be like, cue it.
By the end of it, like just to finish the scene, I like was not making eye contact with Bree. Like I was looking like just here.
None of us could look at each other. I was trying to do serious superhero stuff, just not looking at each other.
Hi.
We're looking for Kamala Khan.
Okay, so our powers are entangled. I can manipulate light energy. And I could totally show you.
We see it in the trailer when Tiana and Sam come knocking on the Khan's house door. I remember we were doing rehearsal for that scene, and Sam hadn't come yet, and I just kept peering over the door waiting for him to come by. And then he did, and immediately, just reflexively, I just hid behind Nia, our director. I like my body just did it by itself, and then Sam made his rounds and like said hi to everyone, and then and Nia like was like struggling to get me in front of her so like Sam could see my face, and he gave me the biggest bear hug, and yeah, I think that was like top 10 greatest hugs of my life.
When your co-star is like her favorites are not you learn kind of have to get over that.
That's not true. I have posters of you in my room. Don't even.
I know. He's just like a touchstone that no matter what's going on in the world, that I get to be with him, and we have so much fun playing together. And he works so hard and he works so much that like the time when I get to see him is at work because he loves his job so much. And so I just feel like we get this incredible opportunity to play and catch up and hang out. And I don't know, he's just such a huge part of not just like my life. Well, yeah, a huge part of my life, but also a huge part of how I understand how to be a leader on set is from him. Because he was there through like my first like formative like big jobs. He happened to be there. And so he's an important person, I think, to observe in terms of like how you lead a group of people. Right? I mean, wouldn't you agree, both of you? It's like, it's one thing to do your job, and then there's also the other part, which is like there's a lot of people that we work with, and like it's a part of it is being part of that. It's not just the stuff you see that's on camera, it's the stuff that's behind that makes the front of it. And I think he's a great example of that.
His on-set like etiquette is quite admirable, and also like the fact that I didn't expect him to have so much care for, you know, his character as he does. Like it was honestly so surprising. Like he remembers continuity from like movies ago, anything to do with Nick Fury. He's so invested and so like he really takes the time to understand what his character is going through in this moment, because he's like spread across so many different movies and shows, and like I can't even imagine how hard that must have been for him to like be in 3 different things at the same time and like try to understand where his character's at what time, especially when we're filming out of order. But he does it effortlessly.
We're a team.
Oh, no. We're not a team.
We're not a team.
Time and time again, it's proven that not only do these, stories have such a robust fan base, but they sell, and it's quite remarkable. And I think Marvel has always championed that idea of finding this idealized version of yourself through their characters, a version of yourself that can fly in space and stop a train with one hand. And so I think that aspiration to be greater than who you are is such a universal feeling regardless of gender identity. So I really hope people kind of recognize that and find ways to identify with all of our characters. And I think we all go on really, really wonderful journeys individually and as a team. So yeah.
Wow. We should just let Iman answer these questions. I don't
By all
understand.
means.
It's incredible what you've done. Well, I'm excited for everyone to see these two. I don't know where you can see them on the screen, but that's where they are for me. I'm excited for everyone to see these two because they're incredible and it's important.